What is your level of shock that it has reached this point with Deshaun?
Well, if I were to be shocked, it would be kind of like the guy who's shocked that his wife is filing for divorce after he's been coming home at 5 a.m. every day without telling. You can see these things coming. It's and now unlike in that situation, here us the fans, we are not responsible for this. We just have to sit and watch it happen as we watch this marriage potentially dissolve. And I'm more disgusted at this point than I am shocked.
When you look at all the options available to the Texans at this point, what is most viable for the team?
Well, in my fantasy world, the most viable thing is to just bring Deshaun back and have him be happy and play the entire season. I don't know if we are past the point of no return on that. So now what you hope is that if they do have to trade Deshaun, that they end up getting a king's ransom for him, which is what he is worth. It's just that in trading NFL players, there's never an accurate there's never a market. There's never like a market price. It all depends on who's willing to give up and when. And I think in this situation, it's going to be how much are the New York Jets willing to give up above and beyond the number 2 overall pick.
Of all the options available to Deshaun, which is his best option?
I think from a football standpoint, it would make a lot of sense to go to Miami. I think from perhaps a head coach and marketing opportunities and everything else, he might prefer the Jets because we know that he likes Robert Saleh a lot and culture is important to him. Leadership is important to him. And frankly, I think Deshaun in with all of his interests outside the world of football and for whatever he wants to make marketing wise, he can do really, really well in New York City.
All Houston has wanted is we want a quarterback. They finally have one. I'm speechless that it's reached this point.
This is relatively unprecedented. And the problem is when you look for a precedent, you end up at the Cincinnati Bengals because this is what happened with Carson Palmer when he said, you know what, I'm tired of this franchise. I'm not going to play anymore. And that's what happens to franchises like the Cincinnati Bengals. For those of you new to the league, not highly thought of the Cincinnati Bengals. So at all costs, I've got one mantra in life, Jason. Don't be the Cincinnati Bengals. And right now we are violating that mantra.
When will we start to hear that vocal shut up and play crowd? Or will we start hearing it right away?
We've steadily been hearing a lot of our listeners will say, hey, Deshaun, you signed a contract. It's, honor the contract, all of those arguments. And I understand those. I think that what people need to really grasp is that until this point, Deshaun had never complained about anything. This doesn't seem to be financial in nature. This is very much about Deshaun not liking a situation that has been reported as being very dysfunctional. And we know all of the moves that Texans have made over the last 18 months. I don't want to say it was a violation of trust, but I think there's a lack of trust that the organization will make the right moves to become a winning franchise. And maybe Deshaun thought that there was a light at the end of the tunnel or there was some ray of hope that they would become that. But at least right now, he doesn't feel that way. And frankly, it's on the respectable shoulders of David Culley to try to figure out, the poor bastard.
So how does this impact David Culley now?
Well, I would imagine David Culley knew what he was getting into. The report is that Deshaun made the official request weeks ago. So I think for all that people have lauded David Culley for his ability to form relationships with players, his ability as a leader, maybe this is exactly why the Texans hired David Culley, because the number one priority, the number one objective for the Texans right this moment is to figure out a way to get Deshaun Watson back into the fold. You could draft 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks in the first round over the next 8 years. And there's a very good chance that you don't end up with a quarterback as good as Deshaun Watson. So all your resources and all your energy at this point has got to be on Project Deshaun.
Will we hear from the Texans with an official introduction for David Culley? I can't imagine they're going to hold a news conference because nothing will be asked of David Culley about David Culley.
It's a really odd situation where you're, for the second time in a row there will be a press conference introducing a high-level employee with the Texans where all of the questions are going to be about another employee. We introduced Nick Caserio, and all the questions were about Jack Easterby. We're going to introduce David Culley, and all the questions are going to be about Deshaun Watson, and maybe a little bit of Easterby too, probably a lot.
From a player's perspective or a teammate perspective, can you see where Deshaun or why Deshaun would be upset about this?
Look, it's a unique situation to ask for the quarterback's input. Aaron Rodgers has gotten peeved a couple times up in Green Bay because they have not asked for his input into personnel decisions. So once you offer that out, though, I think that you need to be sure the other person feels like their opinion is being valued. And when the direction of the team seems to be going more along the lines of what the player himself didn't want, then that's where a lot of the root of this is. I don't think that Deshaun asked for or demanded the ability to make personnel decisions here. It's just a matter of the organization needs to be more consistent.